You want to see the game at work? Last night's Pennsylvania Senate debate. Not the debate itself. There was really nothing out of the ordinary in terms of attacks and typical deflections, except for one thing: the fact that Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman was clearly struggling to express himself because of his stroke. The game, seen in how that fact has been weaponized on and off special media, that is our problem in real time. Now, let us just be clear here. This is not my take. This is not an opinion, and it's certainly not a criticism. It is an obvious observation.
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking. And how can a man, with 10 gigantic mansions, has unwilling to talk about a willing wage for anybody? And I believe they haven't have any businesses being we can't have businesses being subsidized by not paying individuals that just simply can't afford to pay their own way.
Has the Biden administration overspent? And if so, where do you think spending should be cut? You have 60 seconds.
No, here's what I think we have to fight about: inflation here right now. That's what we need to fight about: inflation.
All right, the problem is what you just saw, not pointing it out. Being lightly covered by main outlets is the problem. Would it be the same if it were Dr. Oz who was struggling that way? Now, that question suggests a bias that I think is overblown. But I did hear a lot from and about people in the media saying, ooh, that was hard to watch. But they didn't say that in their reporting. Now to the next level of play. The left says Fetterman was the better man. They don't say it that cleverly, but that's their thought. He was brave to debate. He did amazingly well. And there is a clear suggestion that saying otherwise is being abusive. Look on social media, not at the ugly memes and teasing of Fetterman's health. That is the toxic stuff that pervades Twitter and the like, and that's why it's not reality, but it is where the game is played. And there are suggestions there of the obvious, which is what you just saw, being met with shaming, and in some cases, a nod to what this outrage is really about, which I'm going to get to. But this shame game, we saw it coming. A couple of weeks ago, NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns took a lot of heat after interviewing Fetterman, and she made an on-air remark about him having difficulty understanding small talk prior to their interview. And last night, it got more intense. Here's how one voter from our watch party in Philadelphia felt after the debate.
For any other handicapped person, he would have gotten more time. And I thought that if you watch the debate back, you'll find out that Dr. Oz got a lot more time than Fetterman did. If he was in a wheelchair, we wouldn't expect him to stand. And he had a stroke. And I believe that he has to be given that accommodation.
Look, he had the closed captioning. Fetterman is not like a man in a wheelchair. Being in a wheelchair doesn't raise a question of your ability to reason and argue. Ask Governor Abbott in Texas. Look up FDR. But of course, you don't have to look it up because you know that this is obvious. And observing is not teasing. This is not about political correctness. It's about making an observation that is obviously correct, political. This is about a recovery from a stroke and whether Mr. Fetterman can do the job. A job that is about thinking, speaking, arguing, and persuading at its best. And for those saying, don't obsess on his struggle, let's just focus on how he would vote. Yeah, exactly. His capacity is a key aspect of that act. And look, the impact of what everybody saw last night was obvious.
I'm an independent, by the way. I was definitely leaning towards Fetterman, and I think I have totally changed to the Oz side. I felt that Fetterman just looked like he didn't have command of the facts. I do think his condition, unfortunately, is going to affect his ability to do the job.
Now, you want to be upset about that situation. There's cause for that, but don't blame those who observe the problem. Blame Fetterman and his team for not doing a lot more in advance to explain what would be obvious last night. That's their job, to answer the questions that were raised last night. And whatever they did to prepare the media and everybody, it didn't work, okay? And it is the party's job to explain why Fetterman remained their choice after the stroke.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of News Nation's fact-driven coverage.